Good morning. I'm Jonathan Penrod. I'm the youth minister at Summers Avenue, and it's a pleasure to be here with you all this morning and talk to you. One of the things I love most with my family and friends, and just something I like to do, is I like to play board games. This board game here is called Lost Cities. It's for ages 10 and up. It's a pretty simple game. It's not really difficult, nothing too hard about it. It's just fun, a little more strategic maybe than Monopoly or checkers or something like that. It's a fun game, and like I said, simple, and I play with my son. He's 6 years old, so even though it says 10 and up, it's not too difficult. But even in a really simple game like this, if you ever get a new board game, one of the hardest things, most difficult things, most annoying things about it is the rule book. I just hate getting a rule book and start flipping through it and reading it, and a lot of them are pages after page after page, and then all of a sudden you have to figure out how to take all these rules, all this knowledge you have, and then play the actual game. And it's just never simple. So take this little game right here. It's just this little pamphlet right here. But you start reading through this thing, and it just tells you all these different instructions and different stuff. And then all of a sudden, how to set the game up, where to put pieces, where to play cards, how many cards somebody starts with, all this kind of stuff. You do all these things, and then you're just sitting there, and it's like, okay, so let's play. And you never just sit down and you play the first game and you just already know what to do. It just never works like that, because it doesn't just take knowledge, it also takes experience. And luckily we have YouTube and things like that help us play, but it's just difficult. Until you've actually done it, it's hard to really understand what's going on. For y'all it'd be the same thing as, let's say you play a sport or an instrument or in a musical, anything you do. If you could the only way you could communicate with someone how to do that thing is with a pen and a paper. You're just writing down rule after rule after rule. Could someone else who'd never seen the game before, never played the game before, never had anyone show them how to play that instrument or sing that song, how difficult would it be to pass that on? And that's kind of in this wisdom series. That's what the book of Proverbs is trying to do. It's trying to take these little lines, these little things that it says, and it's trying to move you from knowledge to wisdom, from the rule book to playing the game. And that's a really, really difficult thing. The proverb I selected for us today is Proverbs chapter 14, verse 4. And what it says is, without oxen, a stable stays clean, but you need a strong ox for a large harvest. Without oxen, a stable stays clean, but you need a strong ox for a large harvest. And again, that's Proverbs 14:4. A lot of these proverbs are very specifically moral issues, right and wrong, things to do with God. But some of them are just advice for life, a rule book for the universe, you might say. They give you the rule book, and then you have to learn how to apply them to your world through experience, through example. But somehow you have to take this knowledge and turn it into wisdom. This thing here seems pretty simple. Without oxen, a stable stays clean. Okay, so imagine that if you're just taking this for a specific fact and for what it is, you own a stable, you own a barn. And every day you're in there and you're shoveling poop and you're throwing out hay and you're doing all this kind of stuff, and you're just like, man, this really stinks. This is not fun. This is a lot of work. Every day I just come out here and I clean and I clean and I clean and I clean. What could I do if I didn't want to do that anymore? If I just want to get rid of all this work? What I could do is I could just get rid of the oxen. Then, boom, clean stable. But the problem is that the oxen are what give you the harvest. What makes your money, right? This is just an interesting fact, I guess. It's just a random thing. That's some knowledge that can go in your head. You're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, But if you want to move it to wisdom, and some of you are probably already picking up on this and where this goes and what this means, but I'm going to help us out, because I want this knowledge to become wisdom. And hopefully through my life example and things that I did, it can do that for you. So knowledge versus wisdom. So when I was probably 14 years old, I'm an Enneagram 5, if any of you know what that means, but one of the things I value in life is simplicity. And another thing I have trouble with is emotions. Not that I don't have emotions, but I have a hard time figuring them out and processing them. I just don't like it. I like to stay away from emotions. And I like to keep things simple. So when I was 14 years old, maybe 13, maybe a little earlier, somewhere around in middle school age, a lot of y'all are in that stage and some of you just come out of it, but it should be pretty relevant to you. It's a difficult time. It's emotional, it's hard, it's complicated. There's a lot of things in life that are changing. You feel out of place. Your body's changing, your world's changing, just everything. It's just difficult. It's a stressful time in the way that we handle middle school and the way that life just comes at you like that. And so Jonathan just starts thinking, how can I fix life? How can I make it more simple? So I start with school. Schoolwork is difficult, and I'm trying to keep my grades up, and I'm trying to do all this kind of stuff, and there's all these things that it's just adding to it, and it's bringing me these emotions, and I don't like it. So I thought, what would make grades simple? If I don't care. If I just don't care. C, don't care. A, don't care. F, don't care. If I just stop caring, simple. So that's what I did. Another layer was I was part of sports teams and stuff. And I thought, this is a lot of work. I got to show up in the mornings. I got to come in the afternoons. I got to work out. I got to think about this stuff, learn playbooks. There's all failure and success, and I'm dealing with all this kind of stuff. Maybe I'll just quit. Maybe I'll just remove some of those things. Maybe if I just didn't have them, that would make things simpler. Or if I just don't care, and I just won't try. That way, when I fail, who cares? So I just won't try. And then finally, relationships. If there's anything that makes life difficult, it's relationships. There's guys and girls, and there's friends, and there's parents, and there's teachers, and things with relationships. There's a lot of emotion that gets tied in. There's these things that you have to deal with and talk about and all this kind of stuff. And I just thought, maybe if I just remove relationships and again, just stop caring, things will get simple. And I was right. I did that stuff. I stopped caring about sports. I stopped caring about school. I stopped caring about relationships. And all of a sudden, my stable was clean. And life was easy. I just disconnected from people. After school, I'd go home. Just played video games all day. Just sat there, didn't call people, didn't talk to people, didn't hang out, didn't have to put myself out there, didn't have to work hard, didn't have to do anything. I just was. And it was easy. But it was also lonely. And I didn't really accomplish anything. And life just kind of became blah. All of a sudden, maybe you start to feel depressed and isolated and difficult. And things are simple, but they're also not what you want. My harvest never came, but I had a clean stable. Let me read that passage again. Without oxen, a stable stays clean, but you need a strong ox for a large harvest. When we're looking at this wisdom series and people are coming at you with these different proverbs and this different stuff, and we're talking about things like oxen and stable, and we're like, what in the world? I don't deal with any of that stuff. It takes a little bit of extra thinking. When you read through the book of Proverbs, which I hope a lot of you do, and you're trying to pull things out, you can't just read it for face value. You can't just read it and say, okay, that's an interesting fact about oxen, but I don't own those. I don't have a stable. I don't worry about it. Think about what it means. This rule book, it's not easy. It's work. It'd be a lot cleaner to just set it aside and not worry about it. And there's a lot of times in my life, I have 3 kids. By the time you watch this, I'll have 4. The oldest one is 6 years old, maybe 7, again, depending on when you watch this. And we go on down the line, and it's not, a lot of times it's easier in life just to, y'all play your video games, I'll watch TV, boom. But when we bust out a new game or a rule book, and we sit down at the table and we learn how to play it together, all of a sudden memories get made. And we have a good time together, and family becomes family, and it's not about the board game. The board game's just something that messes up the stable. Just something that makes life a little bit more work, a little bit more difficult, but it also helps us reap a harvest. Friendship and love and time with each other. In school, it's work, but it also reaps a harvest of knowledge and just preparing you for life. The relationships you make with teachers and friends, sports or band or musicals or whatever you're a part of, it's work. It's a lot of work, but it also reaps a harvest of discipline and success and competition. In relationships, there's nothing more work and there's nothing more emotional, but it's really the only way to live life. And without them, life is just empty. One of my favorite movies is a movie got Robin Williams in it called Dead Poet Society. And one of the things in there, he's trying to appeal to these kids about the importance of literature and poetry and stuff like that. And one of the things he says is science and math and that kind of stuff is very important. And it's key to life, and what makes life, what lets us live life, what allows your heart to beat one more minute. But he says poetry and literature, that's what makes life worth living. And that's what I found out about hard work. And that's what this proverb's trying to tell us. Is that there's a lot of things that just let you live one more day. Let you survive one more day. And you can keep your stable clean, and it can be simple and it can be easy. But it's not about surviving. That's what that is, just surviving with keeping your stable clean. But putting yourself out there, challenging yourself, trying to work hard, that's what makes life worth living. And yeah, it dirties up the stable, but it also reaps a huge harvest. This is wisdom from the teacher, wisdom from God, and I hope you can let it bless your life.
Good morning, CAC family. A couple of times a week, I am going to kind of review some announcements for you guys. Most days, teachers are going to plug these in class, but when we have some kind of community things we want to discuss, or some community celebration things we want to discuss, I might do a quick 2-minute bite. A few reminders from a community perspective. You guys are doing really, really good with all protocols, and your teachers are going to remind you of those every single day. But one major thing, when you come into school, specifically at 7:40, please remember to walk straight to your classroom and take a seat right there and then. That's about all the reminders, because you guys are doing an awesome job in terms of COVID protocols. On more of a community perspective, we've had a bunch of athletics going on, football, volleyball, a bunch of different things, cross country. And football last Friday, got a huge win against Carlisle at home, 32-16. So congratulations to varsity football for that. Also, our volleyball teams have been rolling, had some really, really good results in volleyball over the last couple of weeks, from 7th grade all the way up. Cross country also participated on Saturday at the Little Rock Cross Country Classic, and we had some great times and performances, specifically Lane Baxter, who finished in the top 30. Other great performers were Andy Landis, Hannah Kime, Madeline Morrow, Austin Edwards, Carly Morrow, Seth Dawson, Madison Salas, Max Morrow, and Jack Landis. Great job to you guys for doing that. Two other really, really big things to remind you of. When you check out of school, please make sure you stop by the office. I know you don't have to write anything, but we have to see your face for obvious reasons before you leave. Last thing, we got some athletic events today, which is awesome. We've got junior high and 7th grade football playing at Stuttgart, and we have pretty much all of our volleyball teams playing at Mayflower tonight, and also golf at Harding Academy today. So we've got a bunch of things going on. I just want to encourage you guys, you're doing a tremendous job athletically and academically. We love you guys, and I hope you have a great day.